When you think of outsourcing, you probably think of everybody overseas taking our jobs. With the rapid growth of technology, more and more companies are employing college graduates and outsourced people overseas, whether it's China, Brazil, or India. I'm graduating with a bachelor's degree in applied mathematics and computer science, and I have a career in software development, and I work with some of these people every day. Outsourcing is usually viewed as a bad thing in our country, but if you utilize it correctly, it can be vastly beneficial to you and the company you work for. Specifically, I'll be talking about what defines outsourcing, the effects it has on employers and business, and the effects it has on the United States economy, whether good or bad. So what is outsourcing? As a college graduate, it is good to know what troubles may face you in the future and what experience you may need for the job market. According to a 2010 issue of Journal of Legal Profession, outsourcing can be described as hiring of an outside company, which is usually located overseas, in order for them to provide a service at a fraction of the cost of the same service in the United States. According to a 2013 issue of Industrial Engineer, the original objective of outsourcing was to set up national presence in other countries, such as China, Brazil, and India, and today, more than 50% of the revenue is from international markets, so it was obviously successful. But where the trouble happened is when most of the outsourcing we know today emerged in 2008 and 2009 during the recession, where companies were just using it for cheap labor, instead of using it as strategic partners to benefit the company. Now that you know what outsourcing is and what kind of caused it, we can move on to determining how corporations use it. As college students, we're going to venture out in the workforce, and we're going to have a lot of experience with working with outsourced people or programs and tasks that have been outsourced. According to a 2007 issue of T&D, there are 5 types of outsourcing. There is staff augmentation is the first one. This is where specific outsourced workers with specific skills are integrated into your workforce in order to train and help other employees. Second one is managed services. This is where a particular service is outsourced to a company for long term. This is where they act as the manager of the service. Always long term, huge projects. The third one is called project outsourcing. This is the main type of outsourcing. It's usually short term and small project based. This is where a business needs a specific project done and they don't have the skills or the resources to do so. They can outsource other people who will come in and actually train. They will train employees of the company right now, and then after they're done, you get rid of them and you have your employees that know all of the stuff that they taught you. Then there's outtasking. This is a specialized form of outsourcing where employees are utilized to fill gaps in the company. This isn't as big anymore now that unemployment is so high, but it was big when unemployment was low and you needed fast, smart people in order to do a task. You could outsource it and find a company that had those skills. Fifth is build, operate, transfer. This is where overseas partners set up a franchise of the company. And this is vastly beneficial for a company because you gain overseas presence and you gain all the revenue from those companies, and they have the risks of setting it up. So if they fail, then you don't fail as a company, just the franchise does. But companies need strategic partners and not just service providers. For a while, we were employing people as just service providers for cheap labor. But now we need strategic partners, long-term strategic partners that can help us train our employees, and we can help them. According to the 2012 issue of Research Technology Management, the things to be successful in outsourcing include partners that complement and enhance strategic missions of your company, rapid prototyping solutions to support product development, so fast help, find people that really can help you know the things very fast, and short-term manufacturing partners to test market acceptance. So you can test something before you put it into production with costly and risky deals. So with some companies outsourcing for its true potential and benefiting from it, and some just using it for cheap labor, they may not be so successful, we can now look into why it's beneficial to the economy if it's done right. If companies just use outsourcing for cheap labor, we run into a problem of not having jobs. So when we graduate, if everything was outsourced, we wouldn't have jobs left. But if utilized correctly, it can be beneficial to us.
Should you outsource your workforce? As you can see here, in 2003, the outsourced market was worth over $300 billion globally. India's outsourced market was worth $12 billion in 2005, which made it the largest in the world at this time. But you have to remember, these numbers are big, but people also outsource to the United States. We don't just outsource everything there. And if you look on the right, in fact, 40 to 50% of the top 500 companies in the world outsource. And here is a list of the biggest. On there, IBM, Siemens AG, and Intel. As you can see here, research estimates that 3.3 million jobs will move offshore by 2015. And with this estimate, 220,000 US jobs per year will be displaced by outsourcing. But, although these numbers sound impressive, they don't consider creation in the US. The truth is negligible in the face of a $14 trillion economy that employs 137 million people. It produces and loses millions of jobs every month. Considering the employment variable, outsourcing affects less than 0.2% of employed Americans. So you can see it's very, very low, but it's made to sound very high. Instead of just using outsourcing to make things work, employers should be focusing on strategic partners. This way, instead of just completing a task and getting rid of the outsourced people when the task is complete, losing all of the knowledge of how the process was done in the process, employers should be utilizing outsourcing as training material for their onshore employees. This way, they benefit from cheaper training and they keep the knowledge after the fact. After the project's complete, they still have the knowledge to do it again if they had to. If this is done effectively, business would gain global presence as well as the knowledge from other very smart countries.
So as you can see, we have a common misconception that outsourcing is bad ever since the recession. But if outsourcing is used correctly, it can be beneficial to the company and employees. Specifically, we looked at outsourcing, how it was affecting the business, and what can be done to harness its potential. So now, instead of looking at outsourcing as something bad, you can look at how it may help you grow as an individual in the employment market. Thank you.